wanted to start off the stream today. Something's been on my mind for the last couple days. And I've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I really want to kind of dig into it because I feel like there is a great disservice being done right now to a rather large segment of the population. So, I've talked about this Star Wars The Acolyte show. I've mentioned it before how the writing is pretty bad. That they're failing at basic storytelling. Using a franchise that is beloved by millions of people, myself being one of them once upon a time. But I saw a clip recently that just it really bothered me for a couple of reasons. So as you guys maybe not know, but the showrunner, the director and head, I think she's a head writer too, of the show, Leslie Headland. She's gay. She has her wife in the show. She cast her wife in the show as well. I have no idea if her wife is an accredited actor of any sort or not. And the lead actress for the show is, I believe at this point I don't know, she's either gay or she's non-binary or both. I don't know, honestly. In Hollywood, it's hard to keep track anymore because people are changing their minds in Hollywood so often. And those facts in and of themselves are not a big deal. They're not. In reality, they should be inconsequential. The problem comes to be because in interviews, they have, and in one particular interview that I'm going to pull up here in a second, they are not making a secret anymore. They're not even attempting to hide anymore about what their intent is. First and foremost, let me say that, what I'm about to discuss and what I'm about to show actually does a tremendous disservice to people within the LGBT community. I think what these two individuals are doing are actually causing harm to this community as opposed to helping it in any way, shape, or form, which is a tragedy because, looking back in history a little bit, I'd say probably about, if I were to rough guess, 15 to 20 years ago, society at large had actually gotten to a point, largely speaking, where people were rather widespreadly accepting of most people, regardless of their gender or sexual identity. People in the gay community were actually kind of in vogue. There was the trope of the gay best friend was present, and the concept of having someone in a show or a movie that was gay was, they might have hyped it up a little bit, but they didn't really cram it down anybody's throat. The one example I can think of is when in the old Buffy the Vampire Slayer television show, Willow, one of the main characters of the show came out as being gay. And when it happened, they kind of made a bit of a deal about it. Because while society was reasonably accepting of it at this point, you weren't seeing it in mainstream television all too much. So this was kind of a big deal that a main character in this wildly popular show, because Buffy was wildly popular at this point in its run, was coming out as being gay. And so they made it kind of a deal about it for, I'd say, the coming out episode, maybe the episode after. And then after that, that aspect of her character was largely put aside. It was still there. They didn't like pretend that it didn't exist anymore or anything. But they didn't have it front and center. And that was fine. Nobody cared that Willow was gay because she was a very well written character. A lot of people liked her, some probably even more than they like Buffy and Slate. And this was what, 20 years ago? Maybe? And now, within the last couple of years, we've seen this radical shift where simply accepting is no longer enough. Sure, you can be very, very honest with me, Kaboom. What's that? Okay, fair point. I was with the most part when I refer to gay, I'm talking about the community at large to encompass both men and women. Typically speaking, I do usually use the phrase lesbian for gay women. Sometimes I'm rolling and I might use gay. Usually I do use the term lesbian when you're referring to women. It's just depending on what kind of tangent I'm going off, it just flows. That's all. But back to what I was saying is what we're seeing in recent years is mere acceptance is no longer enough. Now things have gone the route of everything must change to fit into the square or round, whatever shape you want to say, LGBT hole. It's like they're trying, it's like there seems like an active attempt by certain individuals. Again, I'm not saying this is reflective of the community at large, which is why it upsets me, because I know that the community at large does not think this way, does not approve of how things are going. So, bearing in mind, I am only talking about this very small activist subset when I'm talking here. They want everything to be shoved into this LGBT-shaped hole. They don't want anything to be straight, and particularly straight and white to a large degree. Let me pull this up real quick so I can really, because this will really exemplify what I'm talking about. Now, this was on the Wrap. And they did not even put it on their YouTube page. They actually only put it on Twitter, which I find kind of funny because that means that they didn't think they were not they themselves were not confident enough in in what was being said in this interview. They knew it would get they knew it would get downvoted to hell, is my guess. So this was an interview with um Leslie Headland and with the lead star, they don't know her, Amanda Steinberg. So this is an interview between the two of them. I Looks like it happened on June. It was posted on June 4th. I don't know when the interview actually happened. This is actually in regards to the acolyte and in regards to Star Wars itself. And when I heard this, when I heard what they did, it made my blood boil the because of the way they are just stomping on pretty much all fans of Star Wars since the beginning. And Kaboom and Music, I don't know how old each of you are, and you don't have to tell me, but we're talking about like they're you know they're stomping on fans that are like in their 70s. Like they're fans of Star Wars that are in their 70s, and they're just stomping on them in pursuit of an agenda. So I'm gonna play. It's only 1:20, so I'm gonna play for you. I may pause, along the course of it to point something out or to comment, but this was an interview they gave with Rep, and just prepare.
I want to ask you both because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And
Are you guys hearing it okay? Because the interviewer, I don't know if you could hear him say it, but he just said like, people are saying that this is going to be the gayest Star Wars that has ever come out, and of course they're laughing up the storm. Ha 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 ha! Oh, they're laughing up the storm to this.
Are you excited about that? Are you
Not the
bracing
gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the.
Look at what she's doing. Look at what she's doing with her hands. Like she's This is a dance of revelry right now. And I mean, of course, they picked the perfect interviewer for this too, because as you'll see this go through, these two can tell that they are in a safe space, that they can say whatever the fuck they want, and this interviewer is not going to call them out on anything. He's just got to let them say whatever the fuck they want.
It's pretty gay, let's be honest. Leslie, how do you feel?
Am I gay? Yes.
Well, no, I know you are gay, but I'm asking, are you?
Gee, just couldn't resist reminding everyone that she's gay, right? And surprised she didn't remind everybody that her wife it was cast as one of the roles.
Are you excited about putting this, this is going to be a talking point?
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure so.
Because nerds are gay.
Well,
Yeah.
That right there. Who's saying nerds are gay? Just blanket accusation right there. Blanket statement. Nerds are gay. Sweetheart, who the fuck are you? Who in the fuck are you? To blanket. That's like me. That would be like if anyone else made a blanket statement with them not in the room. So this would be like a blanket statement broadcast on the internet that every member of the LGBT community is a PDF. Of course, I don't believe that. So before anybody clicks that and tries to make it sound like I'm crazy, of course, it's an example of an absolutely insane statement. That's exactly what she just did. She just threw an entire community of people into a single bucket without the slightest consideration that maybe that might be offensive to someone. Maybe they wouldn't like getting shoved into the LGBT bucket because they're not. Because maybe they're straight. I know this is going to hurt these two's feelings, but there's a lot of straight sci-fi comic book nerds and geeks. A lot of them. Probably I would wager to say probably a majority of them. Although that number may be starting to diminish over the last few years. But that statement right there, which is not over yet, she's not done, pissed me off. Because people in this community, the activists in this community, love to accuse everyone else of throwing all LGBT people into the same bucket. What did you just do, sweetheart? What did you just do? You did the exact same thing. And we're not even done yet.
Well, some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by.
And this guy, this little asshole. Some nerds are not gay and some are threatened by that. Which ones? The 0.05% of people that don't like, the 0.05% of people that are unhappy with Star Wars, while also ignoring the other 999.9% of people that don't like modern Star Wars for a legitimate reason. We're gonna conveniently ignore that and say that, oh, they're let me get his quote correct again here.
Not gay and are very threatened by.
Yeah, so he's enabling. Some Star Wars nerds are not gay and are threatened by it. So he's basically in agreement. Star Wars is gay. Star Wars as a brand is gay and always has been gay. That is what this quote-unquote journalist is saying. And he's enabling these two by saying some people feel threatened by it. No, you dumb fucking hack. What people are threatened by is people like this and people like you cramming shit down, trying to cram shit down our throats and saying you must consume. That you cannot disagree with this because if you disagree with this, you're this, you're that, you're this ish, you're this phobe. That is what people are threatened by. Because despite how the activists try to paint this, your average everyday citizen is not quote unquote threatened by someone being LGBT. The average person doesn't give a fuck. The average person doesn't care what your gender orientation is or what your sexual orientation is, so long as you are not trying to force it upon them or trying to force someone to accept an ideal that they don't want to accept and that they are not required to accept because it doesn't make a difference. So this guy is just enabling them. He's just spurring them on to keep being idiots, which they will continue to momentarily here.
Gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But
Yeah.
in my world, nerds are gay.
Okay.
In her world. So she doesn't give a fuck about anybody else. Narcissism. She is just pure narcissism. In my world, all nerds are gay, which means she will not accept you. If you were to walk up to this young lady and you were to tell her, actually she's not all that young. So if you were to walk up to this woman and tell her, "Hi, I'm a nerd. I love sci-fi comic book stuff and I'm not gay." Her statement indicates she'd look at you and say, "Oh no, you're lying. No, you're gay. 'Cause in my world you're gay." She doesn't live in reality. She does not live in reality. Because even if she's being hyperbolic, her statement of "in my world, nerds are gay" means she is not accepting of reality. She does not want to accept reality. That straight people exist. Straight people are, in terms of sheer population numbers, greater than those in LGBT communities. So she refuses to accept them. And by the way, this lady here, she's the one that I was saying that she's either lesbian or she's non-binary or both. I don't even know anymore. Because again, this Hollywood celebrities change their labels all the damn time, and I don't bother to keep track. But the last I'd heard, she was either lesbian or non-binary. I forget which. Which, if she's non-binary, she's dressing distinctly feminine. So I don't know what's going on there.
Was this the
And just giggling and having a great time because we love bashing on straight people.
was this the fun element of
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly
You're offended?
into it. No.
And this right here is an act. Because Leslie Headland in interviews long before this has actually said she is injecting her quote unquote queerness, and that is her word, into the acolyte. So she's acting like, is it really? Is it really the gayest? Oh, I'm so surprised, but I'm kind of into it. Sweetheart, you wrote this show. You wrote this show with the intent to make it gay. That was your intent. You already said this in interviews. But now she's acting like, oh, I never knew. Bullshit. And let's all have a laugh because we're all part of the same LGBT activist community. So let's all have a laugh because we have a platform, and so we're going to be able to say whatever the fuck we want. And if anybody calls us out on it, they're an isaurophobe.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me with a straight face that C-3PO is straight?
Okay, so what Leslie Headland is doing here is there has been a long-standing meme that because C-3PO was such a tight ass throughout all the stories, and that was his character. He was a protocol droid. He was a tight ass protocol droid. So he was very prim and proper with, yeah, oh yeah. But I mean, it was a meme for a very long time. It was a joking meme that C-3PO was gay because he was very uptight and proper as a protocol droid. It was an amusing meme. She's not taking it as a meme. She is now going down the route that they went down in Solo, where they made Lando Calrissian a pansexual who actually does fuck robots. That's where she's going. It started with Solo with that, and now they're going here with this, where they're saying, yeah, C-3PO's gay. I'm calling he's gay in their headcanon, and if she has her way in actual Star Wars canon, they're going to make C-3PO gay. If she's able to get her hands on any of the modern era Star Wars, she'll 100% make C-3PO gay. 100%.
I was straight.
They're a couple. That's what I think.
Kaboom, I'm going to repeat. I'm going to quasi-repeat what you just said. They are fucking robots. They're androids. They're or droids, as the case may be. Why are you shipping two droids together? And here's the thing. Listen to what was about to be said, because it they completely destroy their own twisted, insane logic here. Just listen to this.
But this is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian. So they just said that R2-D2 and C-3PO are a gay couple, and now Leslie fucking Headland, the destroyer of Star Wars, along with Kathleen Kennedy, because R2-D2 is not. In fact, I had this prepared. So she just said I don't think it's canon R2D2 is a lesbian. Okay? In the words of a great man, let me show you something. So, you may or may not recall this. This is from A New Hope, the very first Star Wars movie ever. Okay? This is when C-3PO and R2D2 are purchased by Luke Skywalker and his uncle Owen. Take a good listen.
Owen,
Yeah?
the R2 unit has a bad motivator. Look.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
Excuse me, sir, but that R2 unit is in prime condition, a real bargain.
Uncle Owen,
Yeah?
what about that one?
What about that blue one? We'll take that one.
I'm quite sure you'll be very pleased with that one, sir. He really is in first-class condition. I've worked with him before.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Once more. I'll even bring the volume up just a little bit. Once more, in case you missed it.
Sure you'll be very pleased with that one, sir. He really is in first-class condition. I've worked with him before.
He really is in first-class condition. I've worked with him before. Episode 4, the first Star Wars ever released. And this stupid bitch is going to make the statement, I think, oh, isn't it canon that R2D2 is lesbian? No, you dumb bitch. It's not. He started off being called a he, and was called he or buddy throughout the entire franchise. And not only is Leslie Headland the acolyte herself, because in this show the acolyte is evil, although I know she's gonna make her a misunderstood, is trying to either she's trying to make R2D2 a transgender lesbian, or she has no clue what the entire canonical history of R2D2 is. And you know, it's only on film. You know what? If you're talking the old school Star Wars, never a bad choice, because they're the only ones left. Like at this point, you know, the prequels, they're not great. But when you compare them to what we've got now, they're okay. But I mean, Star Wars ended with Return of the Jedi. That's it. Star Wars ended with Return of the Jedi. No, I don't consider anything that Disney has crafted to be canon. Disney has destroyed it. And we're not done yet. We still got another 12 seconds left. What else could they possibly say?
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ask Filoni. Okay.
Ask for
Can you
one.
imagine?
Yeah, talk to Filoni.
As Filoni, the other one who's destroyed Star Wars with his bullshit. So, yeah, I mean, you can perhaps see why I've been stewing about this. Because this stuff really pisses me off because it's on two fronts. As I said, number one, it's doing a massive disservice to the LGBT community. Because by these activists doing this on such a widely broadcast scale with a megaphone-sized platform, they are actively trying to paint the entire LGBT community in this light. They're making it seem like everyone in the LGBT community thinks the way they do. So they're making it seem like all LGBT people think that Star Wars is gay, and that Star Wars nerds are gay, and that R2D2 is a lesbian because they're too stupid to actually know what canon means. They're painting the entire community to look like that, and I know for a fact it's not true. Which is why I say they're doing an incredible disservice to the very people that they are supposedly trying to champion. Because the majority of the people in the LGBT community do not care. The vast majority of people in the LGBT community, you know what they want? They just want to live normal fucking lives. They want to live the same normal lives that you, that I, that everyone else lives. They do not live their lives according to their gender identity or their sexual identity. That's in the background. They don't care. But when you have activists like this that are constantly, literally trying to cram LGBT ideology down people's throats, or trying to cram it into schools where it does not belong, yeah, people are going to have a problem with it. And it doesn't make them an ist, it doesn't make them a phobe, it makes them a rational human being that wants you to cut out the bullshit. And when it comes to Star Wars, people are, there's always the argument of, well, why are you making such a big deal out of it? It's just a movie, it's just a TV show. This is a franchise that shaped a lot of people's lives. It has shaped the culture of humanity. Star Wars shaped the culture of a lot of people's lives. This franchise is singly responsible for some of the most memorable lines, for some of the most memorable ideologies in history. Everyone knows the incorrectly quoted of Luke, I'm your father. And they know what it means. It's referencing, someone feeling betrayed. May the Force be with you. I mean, that's basically the non-Christian version of God be with you. May the Force be with you is the sci-fi nerds version of God, may God bless you, or whatever other religious thing you want to do. So, this is a franchise that a lot of people grew up with. That it holds a special place in their heart. And so yes, when you actively destroy it, just to shove an ideology down people's throats, yes, people are going to be pissed, and people are going to push back, and they're going to push back hard. And they're not going to care what names you call them, because they know that those names are only being used because you don't have a fucking leg to stand on. That's why I said previously that words like racist, homophobic, the N-word that I'm not referring to is a slur for African American people. It's why a lot of those words have lost their meaning. Because people like these two throw that word around so freely, it's lost all meaning, and now only means you don't agree with me and I don't like you. I'm wondering if it pulled something like the Velma show. Kaboom? What do you mean by it pulled something like the Velma show? Can you be a little bit more specific on that? Because I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking about it like being meta, or are we talking about something else entirely? Because they've only released about they've only released 2 episodes. I have listened to critics that have actually seen the first 4 episodes, and apparently the 3rd episode that these critics are saying is really what kills Star Wars. Turned most characters into archetypes and made most characters colorful. Oh, okay. Well, they're absolutely letting the quote-unquote diversity flag fly with this show. Because from what I've seen, the only white men in the show thus far are criminals. That's it. Every single member of the Jedi on screen is a non-white male. It's either it's every other stripe except for a non-white male. Now I do believe in episode 2 there is, shocking, a white male Jedi who is killed off in the most pathetically easy way possible. Like, it is incredibly sad and pathetic how they do it. But they are 100% flying the diversity flag on this one, with the casting choices and the characters. And then it's not simply because it's while the first 2 episodes are not heavy into the LGBT stuff, like it made it seem with that interview. 3rd episode, from what I've been hearing, 100% does. They go in episode 3, they flat out say homophobia exists in Star Wars. From everything I've been hearing from the viewers who have actually seen episodes 3 and 4, they basically say that homophobia exists in Star Wars. Star Wars. A franchise that once upon a time did not give a fuck about any character's gender identity, or sexuality. None of that mattered. None of that mattered until Disney got its hands on it. And yeah, this is all Disney. No, exactly. Star Wars is supposed to be for kids. It's supposed to be for families. It's supposed to be like a sci-fi epic adventure franchise. And for many years it was. And then Disney got its hands on it. And now it's been all about pushing some kind of bullshit agenda, most of which has been done through pre-launch interviews. That's the thing. I will specify this. For most of this identity issue that, like what we just saw in that clip, they're not actually injecting that too much into the shows themselves. They are injecting a lot of stuff. Like Kathleen Kennedy has made it flat out clear. Star Wars is for girls. She does not want boys watching Star Wars. She wants boys to turn off the TV and not watch Star Wars. Star Wars is girls only now. Ever since she took it over, Star Wars is girls only. She has made that clear, and the franchise has made that clear. Beyond that girls only club thing, at least until now, we're seeing, I'm here with episode 3 of The Acolyte, Star Wars has not been overly agenda-driven with its narratives, but its writing also isn't good. Like, the Star Wars shows and movies that have come out since Disney took over, the stories are garbage. The stories are absolute garbage. They do not make sense. Yeah, didn't they cancel that kid show? I vaguely remember hearing about that kid show, and I'm reasonably sure they canceled it. I don't know for sure though. I'm not 100% because I've checked out Star Wars a long time ago. The only glimmers that they had since Disney purchased Star Wars was the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian and Andor. And while I did not watch Andor, I didn't really have any interest in it. It's been very well received by people who generally hate Star Wars now. because of everything I've been talking about. Andor was very well received by these individuals, so to my eyes, that means that it was probably a well-done show. Wasn't great, but they said it was a good show. They liked the themes, they thought that the set designs were good and everything, and the story was a good story. Mandalorian, when it first started, was good, primarily because it was something different. It was not more Jedis, more lightsaber bullshit. It was something different. Then, of course, after season 2, it went off a cliff, and then they realized people like this. Now we can start cramming the agenda portions into it. So, now we are at the point where Disney's not hiding anymore. You saw it in that interview I just looked at. They're not hiding it anymore. Star Wars now not only just for girls, but it's for the gay community. And if you're not part of that, they don't want you. Which, as much as it saddens me, and it really does sadden me about this, I've gotten used to... Yeah, I mean, that was fine. That was kind of a fun scene where he just comes in and he basically saved the day. Interestingly enough, kaboom! The special effects team Corridor Digital, they have a channel on YouTube. They actually redid the deep fake of Luke in that scene, and I think they did it better than what Lucasfilm did. Because Luke in that Mandalorian episode, he did look kind of Uncanny Valley. He did have a pretty Uncanny Valley look to him, and Corridor Digital, I think, was actually able to do a much better job with the deepfake, and he didn't look anywhere near as Uncanny Valley as he did. So that's something you check out. But the sad thing is I, and probably many others, have gotten far too used to saying goodbye to franchises, particularly, sci-fi franchises, that we once loved. That was a part of our childhoods.